Hey you guys, Sierra here. I wanted to just kind of talk a little bit about this instrument made by my friends over at Northfield, which I'm really excited to kind of help celebrate as they launch this particular model of the EleOcto mandolin, which is basically an electric octave mandolin. This particular one, they're calling the Forza, which is actually smaller. Some of you probably saw me play this guy in a few videos in the last couple years, which, as you can see, is significantly larger. Also a pretty epic instrument, but you can kind of see the difference in size. I asked Adrian from Northfield, after playing the bigger EleOcto for quite some time, and kind of realizing that as a mandolin player with small hands and being part of sets where sometimes I'm playing electric the whole time, which is more rare, you know, I don't have the endurance, I guess, built up as much, but you know, it's taxing because the instrument is tuned in fifths. There's so much jumping around from place to place to be able to get around on the instrument. So Adrian is such an open-minded, creative soul, and I'm so grateful that he was willing to take on the task of creating one that was slightly smaller and a little bit more mandolin player friendly. Now, I play a lot of octave mandolin as well, but it's just, there's something to be said about just the difference in going from the 22-inch scale to the 19-inch scale. It really alleviates so much stretching on the instrument. Now, the larger scale length is great for especially guitar players, people who are used to, you know, wanting to play more chords. But what I found is that with wanting to play more leads and being able to kind of like fly around on the instrument a little bit, you can make it happen, but I was having to make creative choices that were like, okay, can I pull this off, because there's so much jumping back and forth, whereas just the difference from 22 to 19 feels huge. And so this instrument to me makes it so much more playable for kind of your average mandolin picker that wants to be able to kind of play something loud. Now, the cool thing is, much like the acoustic octave mandolin, which I also love and play a lot of, it has this chambered body. So, you know, you still get the option of being able to being able to kind of like really, you know, have long, loud, electric kind of tones, but you can also kind of have everything, just strip things down to the basics and have this very natural, clean tone that really sounds, because we have the pairs of strings, you know, you still get a lot of that same. The clean tone is so nice. So you've got this magnetic jazz pickup as well as a Northfield capsule piezo pickup. So between those two, and you can have a mono or stereo out depending on how you want to use this thing. There's so many options here. So I find that it's such a nice bridge, because, you know, if you find yourself, as I do from time to time, in these really loud situations where you're playing with loud electric guitar players, or even just the sit-in, you know, that you want to be able to get up there and not have to, you know, have the acoustic mandolin feeding back like crazy or feeling like you can't really hear, but being able to just walk up, you know, clean, plug into an amp and have a nice fat tone. This EleOcto does that so well. It doesn't feel puny. You know, some electrics, there's you know, that kind of desire to feel like you need overdrive, you need, you know, something to give it a little bit more oomph, because they can be kind of piercing on its own. But this thing sounds so nice just naturally. You know, so you kind of get all this nice acoustic feeling tone, both I say feeling, both to the ear and to the hands. I think being able to hang on to, you know, the coarse strings is a nice added touch that you don't always get with electric instruments. I can't tell you in the handful of times that I've got to use this beautiful instrument that all my electric guitar player friends are like, oh my gosh, what is that thing? You know, so it definitely is a unique kind of thing. It stands out in a room because there's really nothing that I know of quite like it. So from the first prototype that I got of even the 22-inch scale, and you can kind of see even this is, I think this was around 2 or 3, and even like from the knobs where I was like kind of taping things off so I could kind of know where things are at. They've made all these beautiful improvements, both just aesthetically and functional kind of things, from, you know, the knobs to the shape of the body, the contouring. I mean, it's just an absolutely gorgeous instrument. Let me just unplug so you can kind of sort of really get a good look at it. But it's just it's such a fun instrument to be able to play. So I've really enjoyed it. I'm so stoked that these things are finally on the market now for those of us with smaller hands, and you know, encourage you guys to check it out. Again, if you're a guitar player and you want the bigger scale length, you want the slightly bigger body. If I was only singing, I can see it kind of feels good to play like a slightly heavier, like chunky instrument where there's tons of room to make chords. It feels a little bit more guitar-like, you know, capo that instrument up as much, either one of these up really as much as you want. But as far as like being able to really play lead and get around on the instrument, you know, this is kind of my go-to. So it depends. I'm excited to have both. I think they're both incredible instruments and so fitting for, you know, all the different scenarios. This one also has an adjustable bridge, which is nice. So definitely some improvements as they've gone along that now have hit the market, which is pretty exciting.